All right, Kim, are you with us? Can you hear me?
I am, and I can.
Wonderful. So, we just dropped a ton of information on our audience. That first story about the Queen was incredible. So, let's continue with the story. So, what else can you tell us?
Well, it's very interesting how the world really works, right? And we're
Yeah.
learning more and more about that every day. And we've been talking quite a bit about the planes of existence. And I don't know if our graphics department can pull that up because this is going to explain a lot more to you of why having the crown, so to speak, means so much to them.
Right.
So the natural or unnatural planes of existence were divided in the following ways until today. With the merging of the planes, we no longer have everything you see on the right. So if the soul plane is basically where you are in source, you are in the complete and total light, then you would have had the also on the soul plane, you would also have the master controls, so to speak, of the alpha system. On the other side, you would have the dark or the dark overlord or Lucifer, their god, and you would have had the omega system, at least the master control of it. This not only applies to computers and so on and so forth, it also applies to your person. And why the higher you go in these planes, the more control. So if you were to have, say, the gray stone, which we found in Chicago on Monday, then you would have had control over all of the below planes. But now that was held by the Order of the Black Sun.
Okay.
But they still would have had to go through the blue stone holders, which is the crown or the blue dragon family, in order to access the rest of the below planes. So, right now, the Order of the Black Sun is celebrating because Chucky, I call him Chucky, Chucky is one of theirs.
Okay.
So he is both a Rothschild and he is how do you say, by his father's blood, a part of the Order of the Black Sun bloodline or the Cain line, as you call it. So he is both lines. Now, they had originally designated Prince William to take the throne. That
Right.
was the plan. He was going to advocate, and Prince William was going to take the throne and put, I guess you would say, both the dark and the light in one human, is what they claim about Prince William. So that would have given them control in their mind over the entire light side of the planes, as well as the dark side of the planes of existence. And then it would have been checkmate in their mind. They would have been in full control over computers and the alpha system and the omega system. And that's their thought process. I guess they forgot about little old me over here, right?
Right.
So the ceremony of the queen dying, we explained how that happened.
Right.
Her little reptilian friend was trying on suits and smoking cigars last night and was all excited about his new shoes because he would thought that he was going to be able to mimic being Prince Charles and take the throne. Which, remember, even in the Bible, they talk about the fact that Lucifer wanted to be God, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So in this particular instance, they thought they had that. They thought that they were preparing themselves for Lucifer's reign on earth when Chucky volunteered to be in the to be the recipient of Lucifer last weekend.
Okay.
Well, that didn't work out in any way, shape, or form. So they had to go with Plan B, which was trying to convince Prince William to do it, and he wanted nothing to do with it. He was not interested in any way, shape, or form in being inhabited by Lucifer, and I can't blame him.
Yeah, it's such an appealing idea, right?
Isn't it though? Right? You know? I mean, everybody dreams of that as a young child. Some of us want to be teachers and firefighters and others want to be Lucifer. But that wasn't his deal, so to speak, his jam. So his father volunteered. That plan failed. Then they moved on to trying to use Chucky. That didn't work out. So Chucky, abruptly after the queen's death and her failure to continue to mimic and lose control over the mental plane due to the lack of the functionality of the stones, and I'll explain those in a second. Um, and so he went to Balfour after her death
Right.
because they didn't know what to do. She couldn't it couldn't shapeshift anymore. It couldn't mimic anymore. It couldn't pretend to be her anymore. So he tried to get into stasis yesterday, which is why he didn't return to London until today.
Okay.
So yeah, and that failed miserably. Damn near killed him actually. So he went to London today to the appropriate spot, which is Westminster Abbey in London, to be sworn in, I guess you would say, until the official ceremony takes place, probably at some point in the future. Well, underneath Westminster Abbey was where the contraption, let's call it the contraption, and the blue stone was located. Only to find out it didn't work either. And by the way, where did that contraption go anyway? Oh, yeah, it was demolecularized last Monday.
Oopsie.
And no stone, no contraption, no control. Chucky didn't get the ball, so to speak, and now he's just Chucky.
Right. And so does he not have any kind of reptilian qualities anymore? I guess I was under the impression the whole family was into all of this, but not necessarily.
Oh, no, they're all into all of this.
Okay.
So let me first explain to you what the stones of Amenti are, how long they've been in existence, and then I'll explain to you about the remaining 8,000 walk-ins and so
Okay.
on and so forth that were walking the earth. So each one of these has a color. And if you have ever watched the Marvel movies, you probably remember the stones of Infinity Stones or so on and so forth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, each one of the 9 families had the ability to, I'm going to say, use those stones. So they would do something in a process called soul swapping.
Okay.
They would send their soul to whichever stone plane, that was marked by their particular color that they controlled, in exchange for one of the other souls located in that opposite planes, so to speak, of the halls of Amenti. So their soul remains there, connected by only the silver cord. Well, the creature from down under inhabits your person. Now, not everybody that does this has to go into stasis. It's only the higher planes of existence, so anything above the emotional plane, to where you would actually have to be in stasis for your soul to travel to that level.
Okay.
The other ones are simply walking around with a different soul. They're like avatars for dark beings.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So was Chucky infested with something? Yes. We'll see how long he lasts.
Ah, so really, has the real Charles been gone a long time? Whatever is inhabiting him would have had to completely take over him, right?
Yeah, it's been decades for sure.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. So he's been walking around with some demon of some sort inside there for
Okay.
soul inside there for a while. So on the right-hand side, what you're having is the access to what we call the halls of Amenti.
Okay.
Now, what a hall is, it's a passageway. It's a connection between one place to another. So they essentially put themselves or made a hallway which they could control with the dark systems in between each one of these planes, not only to prevent you as a person connecting to your soul plane, it also was for their control of your human and the control of computer systems or the energy known as money. So there was an orange screen, a yellow screen, a green screen, amber screen, all these screens existed within all types of electronics, but they also existed within inside your person in all organic life as well.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why it was so important for them to replace the ownership of the soul plane with the dark overlord. See? That's what they were counting on that ceremony last weekend. So by destroying the stones of Amenti, the stones correlate to which hall you would control. Now, they've existed on this planet for over 250,000 years. This was part of what happened after the Great War, which happened 250,000 years ago, or what you call the Atlantean War. And look at all of the lovely things they implemented into our persons so we couldn't be whole persons. And you can see them there on the right-hand side of that graphic. So what took place on Monday was extremely important to you as a human, but it was also extremely important to you as a human in receiving of funds that could not be interfered with. Although we've spent a lot of time removing these planes in the computer systems, we also removed them from your person since Monday. It started on Monday. It finally completed this morning, and then it was sealed. So, you know how they say in the Bible, they talk about bearing the full armor of God?
Yeah.
Now look at the difference here. So if you compare what the full armor of God is, it's the breastplate of righteousness, the sword, the belt, the helmet of salvation. Wow. Now what happens when you have control over all of that? Now it's your free will and choice to become all of those things in one. So that was officially sealed about an hour or so ago, maybe an hour, 2 hours ago. And now you are now in full control over all your planes of existence without interference.
Okay.
And it was sealed with what we call the light of God or the armor of God. So that means now you as a human and your soul are firmly placed in the light.
Wow.
It's only up from here.
Would we notice any changes, Kim? Like, should we feel differently now?
You will. You will. I think that that connection is going to get easier and easier. Now, keep in mind that the families never had full access to, number one, all the stones in the halls of Amenti. And they never had complete understanding of why they had them, but they knew about the agreement because it's only been about 200 years since the families started doing this switcheroo and swapperoos, and of course Marduk convinced them of that fact. They were trying to get more dark beings on this planet or in control of this planet for the time that expired last weekend, where they thought that Lucifer would be in complete control. Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
So yeah, while keeping us down at the same time, the rest of us that wouldn't buy the program.
Yeah.
So will you feel any changes? It'll probably take a little bit of time to balance them out. And it also depends on how far along, in your awakening process you were before this happened, that you'll actually notice more of a difference. But I think you're going to see more access to a lot of things and less interference, strange dreams, strange memories, subconscious memories, and the Savior program will start to fade away. Their power will definitely start to fade away. Speaking of them, there was about, like I said, some odd give or take, around 8,000 of them that got stuck in there. So those planes, their souls, so to speak, were all cleared out, including their, let's say, counterparts here on the physical plane walking around inside that person.
Okay.
And that finished up, like I said, a couple of hours ago. So some passed right away, and others, it may take up to 3 days, for them to pass, depending on how integrated your demon was, and what level they were at, and all of those types of things. But you can only walk around so long without a soul. I mean, any soul. So you don't have that one, and you don't have the other one either. So anymore. Yeah. So right now, since I guess you would say earlier today, when the transition was completed, we started out with about 8,000, and now we were left with, as about half an hour ago, 4,037 of them still walking around.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, and so when we say them, these are obviously people who have chosen, this life, right? We're not talking about average everyday people. These are people in the system, right?
Yes. Although the original agreement was made with everyone, to create the planes of existence 250,000 years ago, the agreement for the families to utilize this was made 200 years ago. So they started this, although the families have been around for a long period of time, we have only so many soul swapped out left. We've gotten rid of covens and coven masters, and so on and so forth. That then there were plenty of others that were not our friends walking this planet for thousands of years, as you know, and all of those people have gone back to source or left. So we have very few. We were down to a very small number of these dragon family members that had done the soul swap. You know, over the age of 40, whenever they do your ceremony of taking in that demon. I know, I know.
It seems crazy.
Yeah, and while we still have a couple of minutes left, Sunny, do you have any questions about the queen or the families or?
You know, one of the things that really struck me is, do we have any insight as to what caused Prince William to kind of switch a little bit? Uh, I mean, going against your family, that would be, kind of a difficult choice to make. Or do you think it was because he saw the writing on the wall, so to speak? Everything was falling apart, and he's like, I'm not messing with this anymore. I mean, like we talked about in that first story, there's a lot of people that claim that he was supposed to be the Antichrist, and I'm sure he was told this throughout his life. And so all of a sudden, for that to go away, it just seems like there was a little bit of a switch there. Do you have any insight on that?
I don't know if there was so much a switch. Yeah, I'm sure they told him from a very young age, just like they told Elon or Elion, whatever
Yeah.
his real name is there. And I'm not so sure there was an actual switch. I, they won't kill him, and he knows that because he's too important to them.
Right.
They made him, right? They interbred him with the light families and the dark families. So they're not going to kill him, and he knows that.
Right.
Which is, other family members that go against the families, you're gone. They'll take you right out. Mm. So,
I mean, he could have just gone along with the program, right? And you said Charles stepped in there when he said no. I'm just thinking, I mean,
well, nothing happened anyway. There is no more
yeah,
Dark Overlord. There is no more Lucifer. There is no more Omega system. There is no more.
right.
I mean, that stuff has all been gone for over a year now. A lot of that. They think the Omega system might be several months, but it's all gone. It doesn't exist anymore. So there was going to be nothing walking in that person's body, regardless of what they thought.
Yeah.
You can't trick God.
Right. I know. That's the crazy thing about all this is, think of the ego you have to have in order to think that you can trick God.
I know.
It's insane.
Well, they believed in their minds that Lucifer was equally as powerful as the light. The dark was equally as powerful as the light.
Oh.
Is it true? No. Because God's ultimately in control. God came first. He created that at one point in time, and now by its own admission, God's own admission, right? He deleted it. So,
Yeah.
my mother used to say, God I brought you into this world, I can take you out. And, you
I've heard
know,
that too.
but it's really not true. But God can. He definitely gave you life, and He can certainly take it away. If you go against His rules. So my opinion, I don't know what will happen with him. I know that there was discussions about them keeping the reptilian going as Chucky for about 6 months, and the reptilian would convince him that it was a good idea between now and December, which they feel is their next window of opportunity to bring in the Lucy that no longer exists.
So, yeah, that was the other thing I was going to ask you about. So, we've got
Mm-hmm.
this December 21st date, and we know that they're having a hard time giving up, which, whatever, they've got tenacity. I give them that. But we're not waiting to December 21st, right? We're not putting things on hold. Our restoration plan and everything is moving full speed ahead, correct?
It absolutely is. And any of the people that would believe that that's such a good thing, most likely, if you demons don't make decisions, they don't have free will. Okay.
Mm,
So these people were the people that failed to see there was a choice
right.
because they weren't human anymore. It doesn't have the ability. I've told you in the past about having conversations with family members, and we'll sit there and talk about, oh, isn't it a good idea to do this and do that and so on and so forth? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's a great idea. And then you'll talk to them, and at the end of the conversation, they'll be like, what did you say?
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so it's really the demons. They don't have free will, so therefore they're not acting as humans who would have free will. So your conversations with them are erratic. They're crazy.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
they'll forget they ever said it, or they don't understand
Oh,
you. Like it's
okay.
not a program in their head. It's a program. I don't,
Right.
best way I can describe it. That's how you kind of tell the difference between whether they're actually human or not human, whether they're
Gotcha.
bearing a human soul. It's like, I don't know, like a machine that's programmed to do a certain thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
although it recognizes the fact maybe that you are trying to input something else, it's not meant for that.
Right. Right. But we should be seeing a lot less of this happening, right? With all these, that we talked about the 8,000 souls, right? So we shouldn't be seeing a lot of people having these demons left in them, right?
No, like I said, we've got about 4,000, little over 4,000 of them left right now, and we expect all 4,000 of those to be gone within 72 hours of the sealing off of the planes of existence.
But what about for the other people in the world that may have unintentionally, through trauma or whatever, have something in them? What about those beings going away?
Well, is there such a thing as a possession, an unwilling possession? Normally, that would have come from the control of the planes of existence.
Okay.
See, they existed within you, whether you wanted it to or not. It was just, that old, where they say which wolf wins, with the one you feed.
Yeah.
Remember that saying?
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like that, and your decisions are, are you going to sell your soul over here, or are you going to sell your soul over there?
Mm,
But their existence to coexist in the planes of existence is over.
gotcha.
The Amenti agreement is expired. It's not, it doesn't exist anymore. We have a lot more opportunity to make those connections now. And people that are remaining after this is all said and done in the next 3 days will have to make a you can't bring one of them back. That doesn't work anymore. That is gone. The door to hell, so to speak, has been sealed off. You are now fully armed, right, with the armor of God, so to
Yeah.
speak, and your choices and your decisions are now your own without interference from another third party. So no one's going to implement undue fear into your conscious and your subconscious mind. No one is going to represent investor or royalty in your mind anymore. So you're not going to like automatically think, well, I could never talk to this person, that's the president of the United States. You're they ingrain it in your person and your planes of existence to believe this stuff,
Yeah.
to believe that you're not connected to, you need to go through them to get to God, right? You got to go to that building. Don't forget to go to the building. And, funny enough, some of the other stones that we found were under, like I said, the Sistine Chapel,
Hmm.
St. Paul's Cathedral in Germany. I mean, these are very the temple in China, the Yellow Temple in China. I can't remember the exact. Same thing with the church in Sweden, in Romania, in Chicago was actually the Holy Trinity Church. So there's a reason why these stones are underneath those churches because they're still using your energy.
Yeah. Kim, those stones, it's also in the Bible, it talks about the stones that the Jewish priests would wear. They had a breastplate. I think those
Mm-hmm.
are the exact same stones. I've seen images. There's like three in a row and then there's three lines.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the exact same stones, right?
Yeah, they say they represent the 12 tribes of Israel.
Mm,
But, when you look at it like this, really, what did they actually represent?
yeah.
So,
Mm,
but moral to the story is best we don't try to trick God because God is everywhere. It is in you, it is around you, it is above you, it is below you, and
yeah.
maybe we should not be so arrogant, right?
Yeah. That's the
Think
moral
about the
to the
things.
story.
So now everybody knows about the Queen, Miss Sunny, and I know you've got some place to be here. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, but we can maybe do a question and answer about that or something between you and I later
Yeah.
on. And I know that whole story I didn't get out to you until this morning, so I was just a little bit busy. But
It's mind blowing, actually. I mean, to think that for 30 years she was just kind of sitting in stasis. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Like, I was like, what's going on here? Nothing is as it seems, Kim. It's crazy. I mean, I hope we get to the point where what we see is real. And I think we're doing that more and more, right?
yeah,
That what we see in front of our eyes is actually what's going on because the lies are just incredible.
sure, and with no distortion, without
Yes.
anyone interfering in the planes of existence. So just to be real clear, they never actually had control over the stones. They were always under the control of Marduk
Okay.
because he held both of them, both of the light and the dark one,
Okay.
and then the rainbow. So I don't have the dark one. I just destroyed it because it's not necessary. But I had the light one, I have the clear one, and then I also have the rainbow one. And I've had those for years. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do with these, right?
Is that you talking to God?
Yeah.
I don't know what you
Well,
want
I
me to do
guess,
with these.
it's serendipitous. Like I said, we're always one step ahead of them, but we're one step ahead of them because the guidance comes right on time,
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
before, not after, exactly at the right moment. And how did we know to do all of that on Monday? I certainly didn't exactly. I'm like, what are the stones meant to? How do I do? And then it all came real clear. We ran around the whole planet, using the system, and then between us and the enforcer and destroying all these little pockets of, very old, very sophisticated machinery.
Yeah.
And then Chucky, up chucks this last weekend, just 2 days prior, and that's when she also became apparent they couldn't hold it anymore.
Yeah.
So congratulations, folks. We do not have interference from
Woo-hoo.
some crazy people anymore. And then there was really nobody running them much anyway, but they did have some privileges to it. So that's how they thought they were going to take over the world with the
Yeah.
blue stone, which represents the mental plane.
Well, like you said, it's going to be interesting to see how many of these people are left standing and who suddenly drops out of the media. Nobody knows where they're at or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
as this continues. So,
We'll
um,
see.
yeah, we'll see.
Like I said, there's going to be masked men and women running around everywhere. I'll betcha.
Oh gosh. Well, sooner or later they're going to run out of people, right? To play
Well,
all these parts.
agencies run politicians.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. So what are they going to do? Are they going to fix this? Are they going to work with us and fix this problem that we have going on, not only in the United States, but everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they going to continue to make masked men and fake people doing podcasts? It's totally up to them.
Right.
Either way, we're still moving forward. We've got full access now to the system. There's no problems. Like we're moving right along here and cleaning out some remaining hackers. We had some things with Boston Logistics and a few other companies, over the last couple days. And they're still, they spent the last few days trying to install their Great Reset programs in other locations. Some various laboratories, RAND corporations, all on board with their Internet of Body things. We'll see how many RANDs we have walking around by the end of the day. I mean, we don't know. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I really have to say. I'll let you get to your next obligation, Miss Sunny.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kim. Great update. Appreciate you joining us here on the news. Everyone, make sure you watch UNN Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So we'll see you back here on Monday. Have a great weekend.
You too, Sunny.